Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and it is time for a professional match of StarCraft 2. What I got for you today is a top-of-the-line game of professional Zerg versus Protoss. Spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner of Darkness Sanctuary. He's playing with the blue Zerg drones. He's 16 years old and he's from Italy, and many of you have been accusing me of being a bit of a fanboy of this man right here. We have none other than Reynor, and by the way, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I am a bit of a Reynor fanboy. He's just so young and he's getting so freaking good already. I think that before the end of the year, every StarCraft 2 viewer will be familiar with his nickname. Regardless though, his opponent spawning in the top right-hand corner. He's a household name when it comes to playing the Protoss pieces. He's playing in red. He's from South Korea. He's the current rank 9 on the Team Liquid power rank. We are looking in the main base of Trap. Trap is one of those players who's really strong, and while sometimes he may get overshadowed by, for example, Classic, like for example Stats, like maybe even for example Zest, he is definitely at that level of play. I mean, Team Liquid put him at the rank 9 in the world right now, right? Which definitely is not an easy thing to do whatsoever. So Trap, definitely a very strong Protoss player. He plays usually a very standard Protoss style, and I think the same can really be said for Reynor, so maybe we are setting ourselves up for a bit of a more like a textbook Zerg versus Protoss. The thing is, this is an absolutely massive map, and while it does allow for a lot of variety when it comes to build orders, in particular from Protoss, just because they can really go for like a third base reasonably easily, they can also go for a really aggressive kind of style. Some of them actually end up cheesing as well, but for the most part, I think this is a more standard, more macro-focused map, just because there are so many bases. I mean, that's 3 right here that you can easily take if you're Zerg. That is 5, that'd be 7. You get like, you know, you get like a dozen bases basically if you really are ahead in this game. And usually mining out a dozen bases is a little bit ridiculous and something that you know, doesn't happen very often. But basically what I'm trying to say is that there are a ton of bases on this map, and if you want to expand, you have that option. Now Reynor, he plays a very similar style to Serral. Basically, Serral is like a better version of Reynor as it is right now. I think it's safe to say that Serral is an absolute monster. Reynor's playstyle is very reminiscent of the way that Serral plays. It's just that Serral plays it a little bit more cleanly, but I think that's just a matter of practice. What Reynor does have is that real killer instinct with his Zerglings. For some reason, Reynor manages to always get Zerglings into your opponent or into his opponent's base, which is really quite impressive. He gets a lot of damage done with those. He loves going for that +1 melee style really early on, but we'll have to see what exactly the strategy is. Trap actually trying to get another building down there. You see that? He tried to go for like a gateway over there just to slow down the base even more. The hatchery though does go up. The Adept just barely made it over towards the other side of the map. If that delay would have been there with the gateway, right, it actually would have been really painful there for Zerg, because he wouldn't have been able to get that hatchery up. So nice little minor play there by Trap. Not really getting the value for it, but still showing us how strong of a player he is. Now, third Adept is joining the battlefield in just a little bit. There's already 2 right here near the front. We do have that Zergling scouting out everything, so Reynor is aware of the fact that there is now an Oracle ready to go already, but here come the Adepts, and this is really annoying. They obviously one-shot drones when they shoot with the 2 of them. That's already 2 workers going down, a third one now also joining this group, and so far it seems to be Trap who is in firm control of this game. Sure, he ends up losing one of the Adepts there, which is a little bit frustrating, but he gets to play his own game, and that's really where I feel like Trap is the scariest Protoss. If he gets to do whatever he pleases, that is where Trap is going to be very comfortable. There's no Spore in the natural, there are 3 queens, so I think this should still be manageable. There is that 1 Spore in the main as well as a queen right now, so I think there should be more than enough. But this is, for example, one of the things that Serral has been doing a lot lately as well in Zerg vs Protoss. Go for a lot more queens than you normally would anticipate, just because they're very good when it comes to dealing with, for example, the early game Stargate units, but then also the most common follow-up with a robotics facility and then a War Prism and Archons. We'll see exactly what the plan is. It does look like that's exactly what we have right now as well for Trap. No third Nexus, but if he takes that right around like the 5-minute mark, I think we are up for a very standard and very normal game. Now, I like this a lot. We have that hit spot of a Phoenix and then also an Oracle. Basically what the Phoenix is trying to do, it's trying to lift up the Queen, take some of the shots of the Spore Crawler, and then I guess the Oracle has, you know, clear shots at that mineral line, and usually they can get like 4 or so drone kills relatively easily. Since you have both units anyway, you may as well get the value out of it, but here we go. So we see that that Templar Archive is now coming up. In total, we have now 4 gateways here, so I'm expecting another Nexus here to go up for Trap in just a little bit. He's gonna follow this up with Archon drops. There we go. Nexus will be built in just a little bit. This is like a textbook game so far. We do have that relatively late lair tech right now, so I think that was like 4 minutes and 45 seconds. A little bit later than what you normally would expect it to be. There we, by the way, do see that that 1-2 punch there from Trap. But a little bit later than you usually would expect the lair to go up. Same actually for the Nexus, it's just a little bit later here than you normally would expect it. Shouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I think that's both players just simply adjusting to the massive size of this map. Everything can be delayed just a little bit, but Zerg is gonna need these roaches. So Trap, he's gonna start juggling. This is where the Korean Protoss players really seem to shine. They are great at just simply controlling their Archons and controlling their early game units. I don't know exactly why that is. I think it's mostly to do with just the amount of games that they are known to grind. I guess it's just something that you do 1,000 times, and then another 1,000 times, then another 1,000 times. At some point, your control on these Archons is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And so far, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Reynor to really deal any kind of damage. At this point, right, he's forced to make a lot of roaches defensively, and that's not really what you want to do too much as Zerg. Ideally, you really get yourself all of those workers out, and then eventually you overpower your opponent with a massive amount of units. Trap, though, not really, you know, dropping the ball on anything. Really getting to play his own very straightforward style. Now, transitioning towards Immortals, I'm expecting him to go for Storm and then Archons and whatnot as well here in just a little bit. So far, though, Trap just busy securing that 3rd base, but we really do have a very classic, current meta kind of Zerg versus Protoss here. So Reynor, this is actually like a recent development, right? Reynor is really overmaking defensive units right now for the Archons. The thing is, there's a lot of 2-base and 3-base pushes that Protoss can follow this kind of Archon play up with. A lot of Protoss players do not show how many drones or how many probes they've got at this base, and you may be able to notice right now as well that Trap really only made a handful. Instead, he decided to invest into a rather big army as well, and this is why Zerg was making so many roaches. Either Zerg uses those roaches to defend against this kind of push, which I think Reynor is going to be able to pull off, or they're going to be able to use that to really start moving across the map. Say if Protoss was still on 4 gateways right at that point, and they were busy making probes and all that, Zerg might just be able to overwhelm this. Now, this is a little awkward. He was actually planning on bringing the queens with this as well, but Trap, now all of a sudden, coming from the other angle, while Reynor was playing to get aggressive here, apparently it is Trap who is the one that will force the engagement. The queens immediately do get picked off for practically free. Revelation on the roaches near the top will indeed confirm their exact position. Reynor actually using those smartly to try and pull that army all the way back home, buying himself a lot of time to just simply produce a lot more forces. And I think that's exactly what Reynor is doing right now. We do, however, already see that follow-up, right? So rather than just simply playing something a little bit aggressive, Trap has already gone back towards producing these probes, and he's already going back right now as well towards that Archon Immortal style push. Here we go, though. Reynor has been making all these units right for a really long time. He's cut out workers a little while ago already. The question is, does he have enough to break this Protoss army right now? It's a 99 army supply right now for Reynor versus 76 here from Trap. I actually do like the position though of Trap, right? Just simply sitting there at the bottom of the ramp really confidently. One of these roaches still hanging out on this side. A couple of links tried to make their way towards the 3rd as well. But this really feels like a game where Trap is the one who is in control. Up to this point, there's very little damage that Zerg has been able to do, and that's where usually Reynor shines. He's really good at getting that damage, but so far he's done very little of it. He's now forced to transition towards that much more Hydra Roach-based style, +2 missile now also coming up, but he has been making drones again for this 3rd, and right now is finally taking that 4th hatchery. That's a 4th hatch that's rather late. Now here we go. Zerglings made their way into that middle line, because that's kind of what they seem to do whenever you are playing against Reynor. He's very good at getting those units in there. Couple of probes, or actually no, only a single worker actually has gone down so far by Reynor, so he's really killed very little. The defenses of Trap have been on point, leaving a couple of Archons behind. Archons are phenomenal, of course, at dealing with this kind of force, and while Reynor is once again testing the waters here with that massive Roach Ravager ball, like look at his supply count, right? It's very significantly in his favor. There's no reason why Protoss wouldn't be able to hold this. Archon Immortal is very powerful. It's very good, in particular against Roach Ravager, and I think that's the reason right now why Reynor is transitioning towards this different kind of army composition, towards the Lurkers and towards the Hydralisk. Now, Storm has already been researched. There we go. Storm, of course, very, very critical at this point in the game. I think that Trap may very well try and see if he can close this one out right now. He's going for the 4th Nexus, but he does still have a really big force. He needs to be careful though, right? One proper group of Biles can definitely end the game. And obviously with both players taking the 4th, pretty much like close to each other. Nicely done there by Trap, actually scouting this army over on this side as well. But while both players are relatively close to each other, it also opens up this wiggle room here for Zerg to really start pushing forward. Couple of roaches once again making their way towards that 3rd Nexus. Really nice defense so far there by Trap. I think he's going to be able to hold on there for a little while longer. Roaches at the same time though also managed to force the council there at the 4th. So finally Reynor is starting to get a little bit of damage in, but I do think that this roach push here will get shut down. 2 Archons though there that did end up dying. Very nicely done by Reynor. Obviously he wants to trade these roaches into high value units, like for example Hydra and Lurker right now, right? But still, Trap is now transitioning towards that fleet beacon and then probably also maybe carriers and at the very least a mothership. This style from Protoss is very difficult to break because basically what the entirety of the game plan of Trap has been so far is making himself look big, making himself look really scary, and then back off, right? We've seen him do that several times right now. I think what his main goal is to get up to that death bowl, and there we go. We do see that mothership now producing here, and while he's continuously forcing a lot of units here out of Zerg, Zerg has now got this massive army that is really not that powerful in the grand scheme of things. Now, obviously, Lurkers can still absolutely shred through this force. I think in these tight chokes, you can actually deal a lot of damage. Well, here we go. Trap finally looks like he's going to commit to an engagement. Zerg was just about to move out as well. And actually, we may be setting ourselves up for a bit of a Lurker sandwich. Lurkers are right here at the bottom of this choke. And right now, they're positioning themselves at the top of the choke as well. This is not something I've really seen a whole lot, but it is something as a Zerg player that I have dreamed of several times. Still, though, this does mean that only part of the Protoss army will have to fight against this force as well, and it does look like it gets shut down, like it didn't even happen. A couple of Protoss units there, of course, did find a grave, but once again, right, the longer that this goes on, the more and more of these Protoss units, like for example Zealots, right, get replaced by higher tier units as well. The Lurker sandwich, it was cute, but I don't know if it really works out. Now look at this. In the meantime, in the bottom left-hand corner, because of course these players are microing and controlling several different fights at once. Because, you know, imagine looking only at one engagement. That's a big no-no. In the bottom left-hand corner, there is now a base taken here by Trap. And this is completely unscouted by Zerg. Couple of roaches once again making their way towards the 4th. Reynor is assuming that his opponent is now on a, well, I guess nearly 4 base economy, but there is now that hatchery, or rather that nexus in the bottom left. That's actually a big deal. One of the downsides, of course, for Zerg for a massive map is that their Protoss opponent can easily take a lot of bases as well. I really like this. All that Trip needs to do is just start producing some probes over on that side of the map, and he's gonna continuously get like a little bit of additional pocket change, right? It's like he's investing in the Protoss stock market by making himself a bit of a risky investment in the bottom left, but he's getting a lot more value and a lot of equity here the longer that this goes on. The longer that this goes unscouted, the more value he will be able to get out of that investment. Well, here we go. Zerg once again moving up towards the high ground. There are a lot of shield batteries here and photon cannons though. I don't really know exactly how much damage Reynor is going to be able to do. Lurker's in a powerful position, but with that mothership up above right now, right, then the Overseer going down, eventually that army will be forced back home. And luckily for Reynor, he does so before he really gets caught with his pants down, right? If he sat on that high ground for too long and the Overseer ended up dying, all of those Zerg units would be going down as well. But while a couple of Dark Templar now are making their way towards this newly acquired base here for Reynor as well, I think I'm really favoring the position of Trap. He's playing this one out really smartly. He's doing so really, like quickly as well, right? Now finally transitioning towards additional Stargates, he's gonna go for that carrier-based bull. So he's trying to go up to that Protoss Death Ball. He's continuously moving out with small hit clumps of units, or hit squads, I guess, of units. He did just kill that base, by the way. the way. But still, he's really never committing or over-committing to any of these engagements. Whenever this goes on, there's once again that transition here from Reynor as well. But already, we now see those additional Stargates coming up, and I think that Trap is going to be able to quadruple, or like, you know, no, he's going to be able to produce like 5 carriers at once. Still though, Reynor is not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. He still has that army coming up right now that is based around the Brute Lord. And as it is right now, there's very little available here for Protoss to actually deal with this. Brute Lords will be showing themselves. Right now, there's also the quick burrow upgrade here for the Lurkers. Protoss once again disengaging. Trap is doing that brilliantly, by the way. He's continuously disengaging. Even though this is an army that cannot fight Brute Lords, he's still just simply pretending as if he can, right? Once again, though, the Roach Hydra Bull now moving forward, they're going to be able to get a couple of these Immortals relatively easily. Tempest now also coming up here. So these Tempests actually, they're not going to be carriers, by the way. They're going to be Tempests to deal with all of those Brute Lords. So obviously, once you get a decent amount of Brute Lords, you can start popping these Brute Lords, or rather a decent amount of Tempests, you can start popping these Brute Lords like they're flies. You just need one volley of hits, and since obviously Tempest range is ridiculous, you can get a lot of value. Now Trap, he's losing what looks to be his 4th Nexus. But in the meantime, in the bottom left-hand corner, right, he's now going to secure another base, and this is completely unscouted. All that Protoss needs at this point is the gases from that location. And here we go, right? The Tempests are here. They're softening up some of these brutes, still using the cloaking field of that mothership. Phenomenal play here by Trap. I gotta hand it to him so far. Absolutely phenomenal play. Reynor has been on the back burner here for a very long time, and while he does have a scary force now, I really, once again, am a big fan of the way that this is going so far here by our Protoss player. Vipers are coming up now for Reynor, which is actually really nice. If you could abduct the mothership and get rid of that, that would already be a massive, you know, a massive improvement for fighting this army. The one downside of motherships is that they take a lot of supply, and they also are very, very slow to build. But still, he needs to figure out about these bases, man. He doesn't know about any of them. He hasn't scouted around the map. He assumes that Protoss is sitting on 4 base economy. Now, nice catch there, actually. A couple of Hydras will be able to get one of those Tempests. That's really nicely done. Still, though, right now, Reynor must be getting suspicious, right? He must be getting suspicious. He must realize that there is this economy from Protoss where he's continuously building more Tempests while really only being stuck on 3 bases. Finally, the Hydras look like they're gonna actually make a bit of a move around the map. But while you would expect this proxy nexus to go up in the top left-hand corner to be hidden over there, it's all the way in the bottom left. Right now, Reynor, though, looks like he's getting suspicious, which is critical. But already, we see a really nice location here for Trap. A couple of Lings are not gonna commit to killing all of this, right? Trap is not gonna just simply lose those bases for free with just a small group of units. Zerg will have to really commit to it. And I think what Trap is doing right now, he's being aggressive out on the map, which is really smart because this means that Zerg cannot, even if they find the bottom left, right? They cannot even commit to sending an army over there because there's so much static defense there for Protoss. And obviously, as soon as they move out, right, the main army of Protoss is gonna move forward. Now, once again, another Disruptor does go down. Reynor is transitioning towards more and more Hydras and more Lurkers. These Vipers obviously are having a lot of potential right now as well. Storms, though, have been on point, and Trap is really clearing out a lot of the creep here at this point in the game as well. And once again, look at that, backing up, never overextending, waiting for more and more Tempests to join this party. There's now also a Warp Prism, which I like a lot. Beautifully done here. Another Nexus will now be taken over here as well. That one is just barely mispositioned. Zerg did check out the top left-hand corner. All of these bases over here. Reynor thinks that his opponent is going for an all-in right now. He must be getting confused because Protoss is not committing. Protoss is really not committing, right? Which is really confusing at this point. He thinks that this is going to be a last-ditch effort here from Protoss, but it's not the case. Now, once again, 2 abducts, beautifully done there. Reynor getting the value out of those Vipers, and they're once again just soaking up some of that energy. Small group of Hydras, by the way, now moving forward, and Reynor, once again, he doesn't know about it. Another Nexus gets taken in the bottom left. Sometimes people ask me, Loko, how common is it for people to go for a proxy base? Usually, it's not very common on the smaller maps, but on a game or on a map like this, right, you can get such a big force. I love the addition, by the way, of the Void Rays as well. 4 Void Rays are just about right. In case you want to deal with a massive clump of Corruptors, Prismatic Alignment is so powerful against Corruptors. These 4 Void Rays can kill like 7 or 8 Corruptors before they really get any kind of value in. Now, finally, the bottom left has been scouted. Reynor's gonna try and break up towards that high ground, committing a big chunk of his Hydra Road Ravager Ball to this force as well. Now, Protoss, though, rather than, I guess, going towards this central alleyway, he's now making his way towards the bottom left as well. He wants to try and see if he can keep this base alive, for this group of bases. The Nexus here on the low ground still lives, and this Roach Hydra Ball actually is now caught on the high ground. They will be able to get one of those Void Rays. Once again, though, they're backing up towards the safety of the cloak of that mothership. All of these Hydras will go down here, and I really have to say, this is smart play right now by Trap. He has himself a very strong ball. He's been making this maxed out Protoss army for a while. Protoss, though, did end up losing a lot of workers during all of this as well. There's really only 52 probes right now. Maybe I'm favoring Trap a little bit too much, but it's really only a small amount of probes. Once again, Zerglings making their way towards that low ground expansion. They're gonna try and see if they can kill the Nexus on the low ground. At the same time, though, Trap, with this really slow Protoss ball, is making his way towards that main alleyway once again. Zerg is obviously a lot more maneuverable like this than this, right? But finally, Trap is now maxed out. He's only got 53 probes, which means his army is absolutely massive. Zerg will have to some way defeat this. A lot of these lurkers on the low ground are trying their very best to get that burrow value that they can, and while a bunch of the units of Protoss are going down in the air, look at the amount of army that is still remaining. Trap absolutely demolishing it here. That was a very clean, very methodical play there by Trap. And what I loved, the attempt for the Lurker sandwich, right? Just going for those bases in the bottom left and then continuously threatening with that Protoss army but never committing, making his opponent think that it was going to be 4 base play when in reality it was going up to like 6 Nexus. That was super smart. Super clever play there by Trap. Well-deserved victory there. I hope that you enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for making this channel possible. But I'll see you in the next one.